Hi. So here I am on my way out to Santa Monica, and I'm just sitting here thinking about the heart and moving our awareness, our consciousness into the heart. And I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit. It just can't wait. So pardon me while I do what I need to do to drive safely. And that said, I want to get this out. So, the heart. I've written about this a few times over the last couple of days, and it needs to be talked about. So, the heart, and the mind, and the gut. We've got three different brains, three different places that we can be from. The gut is based on our feelings. That's, the lower chakras, the earth energy. And then we've got our head brain, which is thoughts and beliefs and all of the logical processes that go through our mind. The brain is the organ that receives the vibrations from the mind, and there is only one mind, and your identity is what selects from the mind what vibrations it's going to call itself, what it's going to believe, what it's going to label the truth. So it's really important to recognize that none of it's true. Ultimately, there's only one mind, and your identity is what's selecting and limiting which parts of it it's going to relate to as itself. And in brain science, you can look at how our brains, we receive millions of bits of information in any given moment. That's like sub-time. There is no time. It's just like in any given moment, you are receiving billions of bits of information. Are you aware of that? No, you're not. You're actually only aware of such a tiny percentage of that to put it on a visual scale, you would need feet and feet and feet just to be able to see that tiny percentage. So out of those millions, potentially billions of bits of information that your subconscious is drawing in from your environment in any given moment, you are only ever present to about 150 maximum bits of that information. So what is selecting from all of that information out there that you're receiving to pay attention to attach to, is your identity. And your identity is the collection of your philosophy, what you believe in life, and that determines what you're likely to attach yourself to. Now, the mind is like a seat. In yoga, we talk about how we have a negative mind, a positive mind, and a neutral mind. The negative mind is the aspect that is out to protect itself, and so it's not a bad thing. We often have bad and negative collapsed with each other, but it's important to recognize that they're not the same. Your negative mind is not a bad thing. It's a very vital thing. It's important. You need it. And at the same time, it's important not to identify with it. So it's recognizing potential threats, it's strategizing, it's evaluating, risk, things like that. The positive mind, which again, we tend to couple good and positive together, it's important to recognize that they are not one and the same. The positive mind is the thing that elaborates. It sees possibilities. It can go on and on, coming up with ideas and potentials. It can also go way too far. This is, in respect to good or bad, this is how it's neither one or the other. Because the positive mind can be just as potentially detrimental to the self as the negative mind. Anything is detrimental when we have identified with it, because we are no thing. We're nothing. So when we think we are something, what we truly are is, and what we truly are is nothing. Or you could even say who we are is the truth. And when we attach ourselves to something, we are calling that thing true, therefore calling it us. Then we have really, truly lost sight of who we are. And this is a push and pull thing. You know, you can't really expect yourself, and you can't beat yourself up for being, you know, caught up in something every now and then. And there is a point where you get to where you start to notice the smallest identification and recognize that as being even the slightest bit detrimental to yourself. So why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because the mind is the seat of the soul in a certain respect. It's like a car. So you can sit down in your neutral mind, which is the meditative mind. It takes in what the negative mind has to say. It takes in what the positive mind has to say. And it says, thank you. I truly appreciate what you have to say. And now I'm going to check in with my soul and see what there truly is to do. So it may choose to go with, you know, one of the options given by the negative or positive mind. But it may choose to go in a completely different direction, because the negative mind is the seat of the soul. It's where the mind connects with your higher intention, your purpose, your divine nature, and where it transcends the negative and positive mind. So when we identify with one of the things out of the negative or positive mind as the truth, and that is to say that in any given moment it is the truth, rather than one possible truth in a moment, then we have stuck ourselves with it. So, we've got the gut brain, we've got the head brain, and I didn't say a whole lot about the gut brain, but that's all of your emotions, your response to relationships, communication, those sorts of things. It's relatively simple in explanation and complex. You know, in a certain sense, a lot of women can tend to be very gut-brained, especially at specific times, very at the effect of their emotions. And so that's just something to keep in mind. That is also not who you are. You're not your feelings, you're not your emotions. None of those things are real or true. They are a part of the physical experience, which is not the truth either. So now we go to look at the heart. And the heart is indescribable. See, we can describe the gut brain, we can describe the head brain, and then when we get to the heart, you just start to recognize there's so much to say, and not all of it can be said, because the heart brain is where the upper chakras, the lower chakras, or the gut and the head, the earth and the heaven energy come into balance with each other. They come into play. And that is a very special thing, and something that we really don't, when we haven't as a collective experienced in its totality, but it's where we truly become present to our limitless nature, and where we release our identity. In so many different faiths we hear, and even just philosophy and scientists, quantum physicists, talk about the concept of dying while you're alive so you can truly live. And this is when we move our consciousness from the head or the gut into the heart. So the head and the gut are pretty easy for us to move between. But the heart is where we allow balance. And in order to allow balance, we have to let go of our identity. And this is where it gets really exciting, because this is the potential to discover our limitlessness, our interconnectedness, oneness with each other, with the world around us. And our lower consciousness is terrified of this because it is so beyond words and it's foreign and unknown. One of the things that I love about some of the things that I've learned through my Kundalini yoga practice and yogic technology is the concept of, within duality there is logic, which we live in a very logical society currently, and then there is magic. And I love the idea that we've been mispronouncing magic as magic, but it's the idea of the unknown, the unpredictable, the completely beyond words experience of infinity. And I always think of being from the heart as a knife edge experience. In the heart, you aren't present to your thoughts because your awareness has shifted into your heart. And the heart does not speak a language of thought, it speaks a language of action. So it is doing. When you hear people talk about flow, this is what they're talking about, because in the heart space, you're not thinking. Thinking is too slow for the heart. The heart is doing, but it's not mindlessly doing. It is fully connected to its purpose and intuitively knows exactly what needs to be done in this moment, in this moment, in this moment, in this moment. It's present, profoundly present and aware and alive. People who come from their heart inevitably inspire people. They're vulnerable and powerful in their vulnerability. There's no questioning of the self, but there's this high level of integrity, living up to your word, really truly being what you say, is the power of manifestation. The heart is where all real reality, truth, as some may say, comes from. It's the place. It's what we're all trying to get to. And you're already there. So really what the process is not a process of adding something. It's a process of recognizing what we've already added to what was always perfect. And in its own perfection, we recognize that we have simply forgotten that we are perfect, that we are infinite, infinitely creative, and infinitely love. And the only mistake is adding to or taking away from that thing. Kind of hear people talk about 0 point. Well, the heart is the 0 point. It's where the gut and the head brain come together to connect with the soul, the radiant body. And there's no words to describe that kind of experience. The full awakening of your spiritual bodies, of all of your bodies, the awareness of infinite possibilities, of infinite capabilities, of wholeness, recognizing that other people are you. And not like it's a concept, because our brains can really, depending on how long you've been around this kind of language, can really start to grasp conceptually, logically, how this might work. That will never get you into your heart, because like I said, the heart doesn't think, it acts. So now what do you think you need to do in order to activate the heart? You're going to take all that stuff that you know, that you've heard other people sharing their experiences, these inspiring moments in their life, these transformations, these spiritual awakenings. Find out what they did. It's not what they thought that mattered. You can think all day, you can have insights all day long. But insights will never trigger a heart awakening, a kundalini rising, an ascension, salvation, total forgiveness, atonement, all of these things. It happens in action. And the moment that you realize the experience of applying the truths in life that you've heard, that have worked for other people, and it's also sort of to say what worked for someone else may not be what works for you, but you gotta try it and don't give up. You just can't give up. But every little piece is a breadcrumb, and nothing happens in your life for no reason. Things happen. And there's always an opportunity to learn from your higher self, and don't get discouraged if it doesn't come to you in the moment, because if it sticks around for you, the memory of something sticks around, if it's present, then you will at some point be able to glean the information, glean the experience, have the discovery. So your whole life is happening right now. The time is an illusion. It's totally, everything that's ever happened or ever will happen is happening right now. So you can recall anything that happened to you in your life and have the realization or the recognition of the lesson that you were meant to learn there, bring forgiveness to it, and heal the past. Because the past is present. There is no such thing as past. There's no such thing as future. Those are illusions created by a heart that has been broken into two parts, a brain and a gut. And I think that's all I've got to say on that right now. So thanks for listening. I love you.